If I tried to list all the accomplishments that President-elect Trump has already engaged in and succeeded in just the last couple months since he was president-elect, it would give me a headache. I mean, it's incredible. Obamacare is on the verge of being repealed. Chrysler's coming back to the United States. Ford's coming back to the United States. Carrier and other companies are coming back. Confidence has already exploded. The stock market's up $200 billion. The globalists are in panic all over the world. Since Trump was elected, Italy and other nations have begun to pull out of the euro. This is an explosive time to be alive for freedom. There's also a lot of negatives, though. The globalists are trying to implode the economy as we speak to stifle nationalism. They're openly trying to destroy the UK economy and telling them, we're doing this to punish you for beginning to pull out of the unelected EU. But I just admire Trump because it's been so long since somebody even tried to deliver on their promises and wasn't just some weasel of these multinational corporations, not trying to just make money, but trying to consolidate markets and take over society. But I was thinking about how blessed we are to have Trump. And before I cut this piece, I was just thinking, I'm going to come out and just absolutely tell the public that we should be beside ourselves in thanks to God for what's happening. Not just Trump, but the whole phenomenon of awakening. But really, I mean, Trump is so good, I can't even believe it. The way he's boldly coming out against the New World Order, the way they've pulled out all the stops with intelligence agencies and the CIA and the deep state to overthrow him and the people's will. It's incredible. And they're failing on every front with only 6.5 days left to the inauguration. You know, I had decided to not go. I told people a few weeks ago I wasn't going to go privately. But now, because this is such a historic moment and there's going to be so many enemies of freedom there, it's important that not just my crew, but that I be there. So I will be there. And I will be speaking at some of the events that Roger Stone and others are going to be at. But really, I just need to be there to witness history. But make no mistake, we're all witnessing history. It doesn't mean there's some utopia over the next hill, but we are definitely pulling away from the dystopia that is this technocracy, the technotronic era that Brzezinski wrote about back in the 1970s. And since the 70s, they've adopted this global system. I mean, it happened before that, but it really got adopted in the 70s. They really started pushing for it. And the last 30, 40 years has been the Zbigniew-Brzezinski plan. Well, the Zbigniew-Brzezinski and Henry Kissinger, David Rockefeller technocrat system that was really developed in the 20s but became the dominant system in the 70s is dead on arrival because it's anti-human on so many fronts. And we're just living in such amazing times. I've actually gone to a thesaurus, something I don't usually do, to think of other words instead of legendary or epic or historical, sea change, tipping point, jump point. Think of the words for yourself. I mean, it's really happening. Everything the globalists do falls apart, turns into crap. And you look at the communist Chinese threatening us and all these other countries threatening Trump right now. It's because they're autocrats. They're centralizers. They're threatened by freedom. Anybody who has studied history or even been involved in society knows the best societies are open. And we get a chance to vote with how we purchase things, with what we promote, with what we support, and by what we produce and what we do. That's a beautiful open world compared to the North Koreas and Venezuelas and EUs of the world. I mean, Europe has been collapsing under the euro, and it turns out in their own documents from the 70s again, they plan to set it up under the guise of an economic union or an economic trade pact, and it was really a stealth takeover plan, which you now see. Europe didn't vote to enter these systems, but now they can't get out. Or at least the EU says they can't get out. This is the essence of tyranny. But briefly getting back to Trump, the way he's taking them on, the way he's challenging them, the way he's winning, I almost want to criticize him because he doesn't get up there on the podium and point out enough how epic a historical battle this is right now. General Flynn, months before Trump won the election, gave a big speech to a military group, and he said, as he introduced Trump, this is 1776 Part 2, this is Lexington, this is Concord. This country's been taken over by multinationals, and we're taking it back. And he had electricity in his eyes. You could just see it, even through the television screen, the spirit that was in that room. And I was feeling that spirit sitting there watching it on television. I mean, this is history, folks. This is for all the marbles. I'm getting chills right now. And we're winning is what's incredible. We're taking our birthright back of being winners. But that meant taking responsibility. It meant taking action. It meant being demonized. It meant being attacked. And so many people tell me, oh, Alex, you're so great. You have such courage to be attacked and stand up and not care. The consequence is 1,000 times worse. And that's what I understand about Trump, because I have solidarity. I have kinship with Trump because I am a peer in that I have gone through the demonization, the lies, the twisting that few others have. Trump, 20 times what I have, 30 times. But I'm one of the few people that can even say, and I'm not bragging, I'm just explaining from my perspective, that I have lived it. I have been in the fulcrum, I've been in the eye of the storm, and I have seen the enemies for who they are. I have seen them in the corridors, I've seen them in the dressing rooms, at CNN, and you name it, when they hiss at me and say, you're going to fail, you'll never stop us. I've had them openly say, okay, yeah, we are mercenaries in an info war, and we're going to take you down. We've got all the power behind us. No, you don't. You don't have ideas and people behind you. You had robber barons and rich inbred families that stole what they had and who were so greedy they wanted to set up a monopoly and screw over their fellow men. And you picked the wrong side, and you're getting your butts handed to you royale. And Donald Trump is tuned into that spirit. I'm tuned into it. Hundreds of millions of other people around the world are tuned into it. And I'm so proud of the fact that it's the United States and England and others that are, again, the birthplaces of modern liberty in the last 300 years, 400 years, leading the charge out of tyranny. We're all brothers and sisters in this. You know, we had a war with England 240-something years ago, but it didn't matter. It was the ideas of Magna Carta and Renaissance that came out of England that were more expressed here. And then it was the UK and England that began to pull out of the euro in their own 1776-style revolution. And we all rise and fall like waves in different order. But history does repeat. It also rhymes. And so we're all in kinship together in this great historical battle that's taking place. Whether you're in Brazil or whether you're in Nigeria, whether you're in Japan, whether you're in Italy beginning to pull out of the euro, or Catalonia in Spain, it's a beautiful thing, self-determination. But I just want everybody to pull back again and realize the unbelievable history we've now entered together. And to see the tree of liberty springing back to life, there's going to be some hard roads ahead, bigger challenges than this. But the taste of victory is now in our hearts. The winds of freedom are now blowing and filling our sails. And I am just so humbled and honored to be associated with all of you and to be part of this, because it's amazing. And I'm so glad my gut's never wrong. When I knew Trump 2 years ago was good, and I got behind him basically before anybody did. And he even recognized it. It was crazy, and then reached out through Roger Stone. The fact that we were early supporters and picked up the vision and understood that Trump really wanted to restore the republic. And now in hindsight, the way he beautifully played them and played possum, the way for decades he cloaked what he really stood for entirely. And by entirely, he released a lot of it, but not all of it, because they would have come after him early if he would have been more bold. But he fought NAFTA, he fought GATT, he fought for American jobs. He just did so many good things early on. And I wouldn't call him a liberal or conservative. He's just a guy that believes in prosperity and a guy that believes in upward mobility and bringing humanity together, and that a rising tide, as JFK said, raises all ships. Look, I'm not enamored by Hollywood people. I'm not enamored by fame and fortune or presidents. I don't care. I'm not so excited about Trump just because he's famous or just because he comes on the show or talks to me on the phone every once in a while. I'm excited because he really does stand for something, and the enemies of freedom hate his guts. I mean, I'll be honest, I remember early on, being invited to Trump Tower one time when I was in New York giving a speech, and people asked me, well, what did I think of Trump? And I wasn't being invited to Trump Tower by Trump. I was being invited to Trump Tower, just by some listeners at a party. And I thought, Trump Tower, that's the guy with orange hair that, owns hotels and golf courses and casinos and is like a big liberal. I mean, I really thought Donald Trump wasn't a joke, but just, a big highfalutin celebrity guy, that promotes his real estate by being a celebrity, which makes sense. But the more I research him, I mean, I can almost write a book now on Trump, not about stuff I've seen in the campaign, but going and researching news articles about him over the last 35, 40 years. I went on a Jag in the last couple years, and probably every weekend, searched around and read articles about Trump and snippets and books about him, just really trying to figure him out, and it's amazing. I mean, when Reagan first met him, and Reagan never talked like this, he said, I felt like I just met the president, that he was the president, and I was just some supporter. I think that man's going to be president one day. And if you go back to McCarthy's top lawyer, or the top lawyer in New York, that basically educated Trump and saw his potential and skill early on when Trump was like 20 years old, and took him under his wing, and just the whole background about how Trump got educated by the people that really knew how America worked. We're talking about in basically the 60s, late 60s, early 70s. And it's just mind-blowing when you realize that. And that's why Dr. Jerome Corsi, who's been working in banking and all sorts of other systems for 40-plus years, he's known Trump for 40-plus years. And he said on air, he said, Alex, this is about a year and a half ago, he goes, Trump's for real. He knows everything you know about the New World Order and more. He knew it before you were born. And now I understand, as I did the research, that is exactly what's happened. This is a godsend. This is a godsend that we finally have somebody that does not want to make a bunch of poor people controllable, but wants to empower humanity. And so it's a very, very exciting time. I'm not saying Trump's infallible. I'm not saying he's perfect. Far from it. But his instincts are dead on, and he's not out to get you and your family. And he's not connected to all these pedophiles like the Democratic Party are, you know, with Meryl Streep saluting Roman Polanski and all this crap, and just all the Woody Allen stuff, and just everything these people are into. It is just a group of people that hate us and think they have a right to own guns and have bodyguards, but we don't. And they want to make us poor to control us. They're just a bunch of neurotic scum that have collected themselves and have tried to steal society and steal the future, and it's just not happening. So there's a lot going on. It's an incredible time to be alive. We're 6 days out right now from the inauguration. I guess 7 if you count the day of the inauguration. All hell's already breaking loose. Soros has got riot forces ready. The Democrats are openly calling for martial law. They've already tried to overthrow the election multiple times. We told you all this was coming and happened, but he's defeated it all. We've defeated it all. But here's my final point, and most important why I even cut this. We can't sit on our laurels and think just because we won a bunch of battles, we're going to win the war. We've got to win every battle now, basically, in the next few months especially, to try to get his agenda in, our agenda in, because the economy is stalling out. He's on the phone dozens of hours a day, many days, trying to get business back, trying to turn the economy on. This country's on a gurney getting defibrillated right now, you know, with the shock paddles. So they could pull anything. They could try to kill him. They could do a big terror attack, you name it. We see when their jihadis attack, like last week or 2 weeks ago in Fort Lauderdale, they don't even call it a jihad attack, and it's a 24-hour news cycle. Imagine if that had been some Christian right-winger. I mean, you could just see the propaganda everywhere. So be informed, be involved, be aggressive as you can, but loving when you do it. But let the bullies in the media and the so-called leftists know that, hey, you people are in a cult of fascist. You're following a corporate brainwashing model. You think you're trendies. You think you've got all the answers, but you don't. You're victims of your own BS. You're smoking your own political dope. And sorry, we're here to promote real freedom and real openness. Case point example is how they claim, you know, Trump's a homophobe. I mean, he's waving a frickin' rainbow flag on TV and getting Republicans to cheer that we should all be nice to each other. I mean, what more do you morons want? But see, you don't want real equality. You want the fight to go on and on and on, because that's what we're supposed to get under globalism, is a bunch of classism and being in weird groups and fighting with each other. And our new possessions are our mental illnesses and our phobias and all of our hang-ups and chips on our shoulders, instead of having real property and real rights and real culture. You've been given a culture of mental illness because you've been given worthless college degrees, so they've got to turn you into such basket cases while you get the post-industrial degrees that you don't even realize that you've been ripped off, because all you've been taught how to do is to be a mental patient, while the elite extract all the wealth out of you morons. Under Obama, the 1% made 90-some% of the money. Don't you understand that? But there's two different types of 1%. There's the ultra rich that are 1/10 of 1% that have half the wealth. And there's the other 1 or 2% or so that have the other half. And then you fight over the 10-15% below you. You just need to understand, folks, there's real rich people out there that want to share it with you. Okay? But you can't go work with Soros, who wants to basically blow up the bridge to wealth so he can have it all. You've got to wake up and understand crony capitalism and monopoly capitalism. You've got to get sophisticated, not just be a pseudo-intellectual that watches Rachel Maddow. That's why they hate me so much, folks. I understand the paradigm. Trump understands it. Now, there are people here trying to help you, and I'm not talking to our main audience that gets it. I'm talking to people that tune in and think this is funny. And to our audience, it's up to you to get this information out. We're in a critical time right now. I'm begging everybody out there, go to the next level. Hit your knees, thank Christ. Oh, that's the most important thing. I want to thank God for the awakening. I want to thank God for the answer of prayers. I want to thank his son, Jesus Christ, for in my personal life, turning my life around the last 20 years. And I just want to thank God for the gift of everything, all the bounty of this planet, the love, the relationships, our children, our wives, our husbands, our mothers, our fathers, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, our neighbors, the kinship, the passion, everything we're given is so good. And we've got to start appreciating it. It is the appreciation of all God's gifts, the gifts of the earth, the gifts of the spirit, the gifts that we all share together. That is the beginning of true enlightenment, is being appreciative. And believe me, I'm one of the most unappreciative people when it comes to tyranny, because I'm so angry at the tyrants. I don't sit back sometimes and appreciate the freedom we do have. And it's important to celebrate that freedom. And in the celebration of freedom, that is what really dispels the evil. So all I'm saying is be angry at tyrants, fight them, but also we should celebrate more our incredible culture, our renaissance, and the freedoms we have, and the incredible pleasures and good things that God has given us. I'm Alex Jones for Infowars.com. There is a war on for your mind, and the trance is breaking. The spirit of oppression is beginning to lift. There are rays of sunlight coming through those great black clouds, and this is an incredible time to be alive. So again, as we prepare to see Trump become president, hopefully that's the case. Just every day, though, the exponential threat intensifies. But as we prepare to see this happen, we are all witnesses to history, and we are all not spectators, but men and women on the field, in the arena. So take destiny in your hand. Everyone knows that InfoWars funds our operation by selling high-quality products that we use and that everybody needs at very competitive, affordable prices. And so I get questions all the time over the years. Why don't you sell body armor at InfoWarsStore.com? Or why don't you have sponsors that sell body armor? And it's simple. I will only promote and I will only sell the very, very best out there. And there's a nexus point. There's quality versus price, and those 2 points have to come together. National Defense Labs and its civilian subsidiary, Citizen Armor, has given InfoWars the exclusive on distributing to the American people the true next generation in body armor. People are always saying, it's the 21st century. Where are the silver jetpacks? And where's Buck Rogers and the Sky Cars? Well, the globalists have basically suppressed a lot of those developments. They admit they want a post-industrial world. They call any technology that gets around their systems of control disruptive. Well, believe me, this is disruptive to tyrants worldwide.
Basically, what we're bringing to the InfoWars team is a new line of dynamic, lightweight body armor. It's nanotube technology. It's created here in Texas. It is lighter, more flexible, easier to wear, more comfortable, and stronger than anything else on the market. We've went out and did some testing. We originally found their claims, saw what they said. We were all kind of hesitant to believe that something so light, so flexible, could be so strong. So what we did is we went out, we used different pistols, different calibers to test different pieces of the body armor to ensure that it was up to the high standards that we expect to carry here at the InfoWars store.
Born in Texas, made in America, exclusively available at InfoWarsStore.com right now.
I mean, it's unbelievable. It's a 1/4 inch thick. I mean, it's got a 20-year warranty. It's waterproof. You can wear it. It's comfortable. I mean, it's not bulky. I mean, that's the biggest, I think, intrigue for you, Alex.
The biggest thing for us is, unfortunately, we live in a society now where we need to be able to defend ourselves and our families at any time. And this is something that is so thin and so lightweight.
You said when you talk to people that have been using this, actually testing it for years, and people that currently test it for us, they didn't just say outstanding. I mean, what did they really say about this?
No, this is through the roof. They want to know, how do they get it? Where do they find it? A lot of my law enforcement official buddies want to know the same thing because they're wearing these big, heavy, bulky vests that don't work as well. So they're looking for something you can wear all day, 12 hours a day, in and out of a car.
And 90, I mean, you can look up the numbers, 90+% of fatalities with guns when they're used in victim of crime, I think it's like 94, is pistols or shotguns. This stops that unless it's a slug. I mean, that's amazing. So they can wear this, and only somebody with a rifle round is going to get through it. And soon, then we'll have it. If it's available to civilians, they're not sure, we're going to have the stuff that's, I mean, unstoppable. This deal is so insane, is so good, it makes my head spin. But I guess the first people to sell cars kind of had to give them away. People didn't believe it. Hell, I don't want that thing. I feed my horse hay. The backpack body armor is only $200. And we shot everything you can imagine at it. Again, fund the InfoWar. Get the game-changing nanotech tubes from Buck Rogers. It's a win-win. $200. Go check out all their different products at InfoWarsStore.com. It's amazing.